Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy, and I love the WebMD articles, and this is kind of fascinating because this particular one came to me, and I started hunting it down because I didn't know the title. And as I began reading through article and after article on WebMD about inflammation, I was shocked to find that every article I read almost regurgitated the same information. It was like they're just trying to produce content just to get it out there so that they can attract people in different ways. I thought, that's ridiculous. And so I want to go over this article, but I want you to understand that they never give us the why. I plan on giving you the why. And for all of you out there, just go on to WebMD and simply type in something like inflammation or something you want to know about and just start reading stuff. If it's generic, you'll find it's just repurposed and repackaged over and over and over. And you can literally find yourself reading for hours the same information that never gives you any decent idea. And so I'm still going to give you the salutation of this, which is, it was medically reviewed by an MD, but it was written by Rachel Rife Ellis. And so everyday habits to ease inflammation. The first thing they talk about, or that she says, is that the body needs the inflammatory process to fight infection and speed healing. And while that is actually true, it is better to understand that the inflammation process in the human body is an intelligent response. Think about that. When we have damage, there is this whole inflammatory cascade that must happen. And if you're missing components in your nutritional environment that don't support that cascade, you're going to fall into chronic inflammation, which they talk about here, and that it leads to an autoimmune condition, which it does. It can lead to diabetes, it can lead to heart disease, it can lead to cancer, it can lead to arthritis and irritable bowel syndrome, and anything else that it is a disease process. This is not a difficult thing to understand because your body's sitting there. Think about you have a house to build. And let's say that you build this wonderful house, then all of a sudden an earthquake happens, and because the foundation wasn't great in one area, it splits and now breaks your house in this particular area. And you have on site, let's say you've got plaster, and you've even got a house jack to jack up that foundation on that side of the house to match it up again and to fill in that area. But you don't have other things to put this house back together. Let's say you don't have nails or boards or new shingles, and so you're waiting, and maybe it's the nails because it's this inflammatory process you're waiting on, and you can't even fix it, and so now everybody's just waiting around. All these cells are just waiting for, let's say, some GLA. I'm waiting for some alpha-linolenic acid, or I'm waiting for some gamma-linolenic acid so I can run this inflammatory process. I'm waiting for some real vitamin E to come along instead of this synthetic garbage. I'm waiting for some real vitamin C that has all the components instead of just ascorbic acid. I'm waiting. And so your body is chronically waiting to heal this or finish this inflammatory process and stop it. But because you don't have the things available to you because your food and your diet is deficient, what would we expect? But over time, when your body is looking at this inflammatory process and it's not healing, your immune system starts to get a little irritated and agitated and starts attacking your own tissue. And that's the inevitability of an autoimmune condition process, is that this chronic inflammation cannot heal because you're doing things like an anti-inflammatory drug or a steroid. And I know that it's painful. I know that it hurts, but ultimately we're trying to get the system to start healing. And I've got clients like this that are in a tough position. It's not fun. And I tell them what I would tell anybody who loves humans. You might have to do some steroid drugs while we're trying to get enough nutrients into your body to try to get this inflammatory process to start rolling. But we're not looking at it as the enemy, but we may have some things going on in your body that are really tough situations that we've got to try to get a control of. And it's tough. How much do we do? What do we do for you? We've got to get you sleeping. And this is one of the things they recommend in this article, that you got to sleep 7 to 9 hours. Now, I don't know if you need 9 hours of sleep, but if you function really well on 6 and you feel rested and you have tons of energy and you're not falling asleep during the day and you don't have to have coffee, then I'm going to agree that you probably are okay with 6 hours of sleep. But the vast majority of us are probably going to require somewhere around 6.5, 7, or a little bit more. If you're sleeping 9, I'm actually a bit concerned. What's your diet like? How many carbs are you eating? Are you constantly injuring yourself? Are you in a high stress position? Are you constantly demanding a physically demanding job? What do you do? That's going to be some questions I'm going to be looking at. And of course, they say, well, you need to lie in a cool, dark, quiet room. Well, I don't know about that. If you're overeating, you're probably burning brown fat at night and you're probably miserable and you probably do need a cool place to sleep. But if you're not overeating and your body's pretty efficient, I don't care what temperature room you sleep in, whatever you like. But maybe dark is better than light. Maybe you need to get your phone away from you so it's not turning on all the time and lighting up the room. That light is actually hitting our eyelids, because our eyelids are pretty thin, and it's turning on our pineal gland. It might be producing some cortisol or some reciprocal cortisol from our adrenals and say, hey, I think it's time to wake up. There's light. Okay, so maybe dark is good. Maybe a quiet room. Maybe you want to play something that's like going to tune out noisy things, because maybe you live downtown New York City and it is never quiet. All right, so maybe you're used to it. And you're like, quiet room? Yeah, right. I live next to the L. All right, so we're not going to worry about that. But maybe that dark room might be kind of nice. Maybe the L puts you to sleep. I don't know. They talk about moderate exercise. Now, if you're already deficient and you got some chronic inflammatory processes, are you going to really want to exercise? Is that even remotely okay for your body, who's already deficient, to try to put it through more processes and use it more nutrients that you don't have by exercising for 20 minutes a day? I don't know. Just saying. There's things I would do way ahead of that than tell somebody who's got an inflammatory process to go exercise. I just wouldn't do that. So I'm gonna caution you on exercise right now if you've got an inflammatory process. Should you be doing things like turmeric, rosemary, cinnamon, cumin, ginger, like they talk about? I have rosemary plants growing outside my back door. We constantly pull sprigs off it and throw it in a pot of chicken. What is it? Tortilla soup that doesn't have tortillas. I mean, we use rosemary quite a bit. We use turmeric a lot. I love Mexican food. I love the spice turmeric. Always smells like BO to me, but I still love it. Ginger is excellent. It's got tons of great enzymatic properties that would help in an inflammatory process. By all means, use these things. And you're like thinking, did he just say enzymes help the inflammatory process? Yes. So maybe some papaya enzymes would be wise. Maybe just a straight proteolytic enzyme is awesome. And we're going to get there in just a moment. Fasting, intermittent fasting. Now, this is something I would be looking toward. But you'd be thinking, yeah, but you just said that if I have deficiencies, I probably shouldn't do anything. And if I fast, isn't that kind of not giving my body anything? And isn't that kind of creating more deficiencies? In the short term, yes. But if we're just working on inflammation, guess what inflammation is? It's protein. And so if you have a chronic inflammatory process, fasting can be a wonderful way to starve your body of protein, and it has to start hunting it down in your body. And what's it going to go after? It's going to go after inflammation products, and it's going to go after scar tissue too. So check out some of my podcasts on fasting and intermittent fasting. I think it's a wise move. But do I think possibly during this fasting process, you might want to do some type of whole food supplementation? Yes. And you might say, well, that's not fasting. Do you have to be perfect and not eat anything? Do you have to just drink water? No, you can make fasting what you want. But if you're going to eat food, we're not going to call it a fast. But if you're going to get whole food supplements and try to get maybe like some kelp and alfalfa that's alive into your body that has a full complement of vitamins and minerals, that might be helpful during the fasting process. So I think it's okay to do high quality nutrients and rob yourself of calories and protein and try to suck up and eat up all that inflammation. That may be a very wise move on your particular part. But again, like everything, are you able to handle a fast? Do you have hypoglycemic issues? Do you need to address some blood sugar management things before you go into fasting? You might. So let's not do this stupidly. Get a hold of somebody like myself that has some experience here and can help you through the process. Start with one meal fasting. Hey, I'm just not going to eat lunch today. See how long I can go. You get shaky, make sure you have some things around you that you can eat, like some almonds or walnuts or something healthy that is at least got a rich amount of fat, protein, and carbs. It's kind of all in one. That's like a little wonderful nutrient packet like an almond. And so have those around. If you get shaky, go ahead and eat them. It's okay. Try again the next day. When you start balancing blood sugar really well and you can go 2 or 3 meals without shakiness and you feel fine, you've done a great job of balancing blood sugar. Go for it. Start burning some things up in your body and get healthy. Now, the very end of this article kind of talks about some wild things like stock up on greens, collards, broccoli, kale, spinach. I agree with that. I think antioxidants are an excellent thing to do. It's good at helping your body complete the inflammatory process and thus reducing inflammation. Why would we think it wouldn't reduce inflammation? It's helping. It might be really helpful to do some deep breathing and some meditation like they talk about. In focusing on breathing. What happens when we focus on breathing? We stop focusing on all the stress in our life that we shouldn't even be stressing about anyways. So if you don't have a practice to reduce stress or have a really good doorman or doorwoman in your mind that says no to things, says, look, these problems will get solved. You don't need to keep thinking about them. It's time to have fun. We're away from work. Let's go and have some enjoyment. Let's enjoy some people in our lives. Let's go and enjoy some funny movies or whatever it is you do, or games. I don't know. Go do something fun. Have a short walk. Go to a club. Enjoy life a little bit. Do some meditation. Do some prayer. Read something spiritual or uplifting. For goodness sakes, do something of that nature. And begin to let go and practice letting go of stress. Begin to turn your mind and put it on those things above, things that are joyful, things that are pleasant, things that are loving, things that are peaceful, things that are gratitude orientated. Do that as much as you possibly can, and you will find your mind start to be retrained and not go after fearful situations constantly. Fear will inevitably create hormonal imbalances, create anxiety, mess up your digestion, screw up hormones, and inevitably create inflammatory conditions. So by all means, begin to turn the tide in your mind and put your thoughts on things above, not on things below. Now, they talk about a glass of wine. Am I against a glass of wine? You go research how many calories are in a glass of wine. It's less than you think. I was actually kind of shocked. So when I do a phase 2 diet with folks, I'm amazed that 3 glasses of wine are what they say your limit is per day. Thinking 3 glasses of wine, that's insane. Who would do 3 glasses of wine? I have clients that do a bottle of wine a day, and I'm like, can you get by with 3 glasses? I can do that, doc. That's workable. Great. Let's reduce to 3 glasses. But if you can go even less than that, that's wise. I mean, come on. Do you really need that much wine? I have clients that will literally put ice in wine to try and help curtail how much wine they drink, and they'll try to work their way away from it. But, I mean, is it okay to do a glass of wine? Yes, if you have control. If you don't, you're probably going to need to do some AA. I'm just going to say. You probably should have something in your back pocket just in case. So the article goes so far as to do something crazy like reduce refined carbohydrates. I'm like, what? Are you kidding? Tongue in cheek, my friends. Of course we would want to reduce all refined, fried, fatty foods. All those raise inflammation. Crappy fats that you cook beyond recognition, and cheap fats like vegetable oils that are grown in an ambient temperature of 60 degrees, you don't want to put in your body that's 98.6 degrees. Let's just be real. Real food to the human body is stuff that we've eaten for thousands of years, like rendered fat, good fats like butter, milk, dairy, that's raw dairy products, vegetables, meats that are from cows and chickens and goats that are grass-fed and not grain-fed, so we can fatten them up and make omega-6 fats in their fat. I mean, we want real food here. Let animals eat their real food. Stop feeding them all these things to fatten them up so that you can just make more money. So go for the grass-fed stuff. Go for the organic vegetables. Go for the nuts and seeds that are better for you. If you want to soak your nuts and seeds, you go right ahead, ferment them. It's better for you. Lentils and beans, bring them to a boil, turn the heat off, let it sit, pour the water off, and keep doing that until the water is clear. That's one way that you can reduce a lot of phytates and things that can be tough on digestion in nuts and seeds and lentils. Salmon is excellent. All these are great things you could do. It goes so far in the article to say, lose weight. I'm like, really? You have to say that? Don't we all know that? And if we reduced all of our carbs and ate real food, do you think our body wouldn't actually just lose weight on its own? Now, I have clients that they don't doing that. And so I have to do some different things to get them to lose weight. But as you clean out your system by doing greens like kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and cauliflower, and eat real foods and real fats, and don't overeat, and reduce sugar, and go start feeling better and actually want to do a little bit of exercise, I'm going to pretty much guarantee you that you're probably going to lose weight. And if you don't, you need to call me because we've got some things to work on with you. And then, of course, they approach coffee and cigarette smoking as the last two things. I'm thinking, well, at least you did that. But if you do all these things and start feeling amazing and drink green tea instead of coffee for a little extra caffeine, and it's natural and you feel it's enough, and then all of a sudden you're not drinking it and you feel amazing, I mean, awesome. Let's say you just love coffee. Then upgrade your coffee. Go organic. Go a lighter roast, as light as you can take. Try to remove the garbage things that people put in coffee, like the creamers and things. Use real cream. Go get real vanilla or square of real dark chocolate and throw it in your hot coffee and melt it and have some cream and chocolate in there. I don't care, but let's do it better. Let's just not go for the quick, easy thing that's filled with a bunch of garbage and chemicals. Let's start spending our money in a better way and start demanding that these companies produce things that don't have so many chemicals in it. And then the 80,000 plus chemicals we have in our diet, they can stop producing because they realize we don't want it anymore because our dollars aren't buying it anymore. And so use your money in a wise way to start driving these companies into producing things that are better for us instead of just doing the quick and dirty and spending your money on garbage because they know you will. Let's start doing something different. If you're a smoker, how about choose a natural cigarette? I know, it's crazy. American cigarettes now have over some 700 additives. You don't want that in your body. If you like to smoke and you like the taste of tobacco, my gosh, do it better. Do it right. I like things that aren't good for me, but when I do them, I'm going to go organic. I'm going to try to make them myself if I can. I'm not going to do crappy ice cream. I'm going to go after organic almost always. It's one of my guiding principles, just to simply do everything that I can and upgrade it as far as I possibly can if I'm still going to do something that I know technically isn't great for my body. So I just expect you to do the same. Wouldn't you want to? If it tastes amazing and you upgrade it to its highest point and it still tastes awesome and it gives you everything that you love, wouldn't you like to choose something that is actually maybe somewhat even good for you rather than completely, utterly bad for you? I mean, it just makes sense. So upgrade everywhere you can. And those places that you can't, so be it. But see what you can do. And I think you can upgrade just about anything in your life, whether it's smoking or coffee or chocolate or whatever. I think you can do it. I really, really do. And if you're having trouble figuring out how, shoot me a line. I'll put my head on it. I think we can do it. Until next time, I hope this was helpful, at least as a quick look at WebMD, and just start looking at way more than just one article and just kind of watch how the same verbiage and the same things come up over and over and over, and they don't really tell us much. So if there's anything here that you're like, hey, I'd really like you to expand this concept, shoot me a line. I'm happy to do it. It is part of what I do, and what I love to do is part of my job. Until next time, I'm Dr. Troy.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's CHIROMAN at dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.
The information on Dr. Troy Munson's podcast is meant to educate the listener and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease.